4.2, material adverse change. If there shall be no material adverse change in the business prior to the closing, that's important. And then the company's going to notify the purchaser if there's any material changes. That makes sense. Due diligence, the purchaser must have concluded his due diligence and found the results acceptable in his sole discretion. And that's a very high standard that, it has to be at the very end, the buyer still has to feel comfortable in their sole and absolute discretion, if you will, that they want to do the deal. So that's it doesn't say your reasonable discretion, it means sole discretion. So there's a lot of wiggle room for the buyer. Document in order, purchaser shall consider acceptable documents. The purchaser shall consider acceptable documents necessary for closing in the order performed by the purchaser during his due diligence. It'll be at the purchaser's sole cost and expense, and that's important. And then approval process, that's another condition preceding successful completion of purchaser's internal approval process. So if to the extent they've got committees or, they need some board committees involved to approve it, then they're going to get those necessary approvals. If there's bank financing in 4.6, that the letter of intent indicates that the bank financing will include guaranteeing funds. The closing will be contingent upon receiving approval from the bank. Other provisions, this is a very interesting catch-all provision, and it covers a lot. It's number 5, other provisions. The company shall be precluded from making changes to current levels of compensation, declaring or paying dividends prior to closing. So basically, the seller is saying that they're not going to gut the business. They're not going to make a material change to the business. They're going to conduct this business in the ordinary course. They're not going to go out and acquire another business or sell off a piece of their business. And so that's important because the buyer wants to know that what they're looking at is what they're going to get. Now, sometimes folks will require, if I'm being obligated, like not to show this, it might be in further along, then I'm being obligated not to shop this around to other companies, and I'm not going to be showing it to other people I'm going to be out of the market for a period of time. They want to earn this money deposit. You see that from time to time. Closing. Here, the closing is expected to occur within 60 days, and obviously that's by mutual agreement, and that's a starting point. Some folks might be more aggressive and decide they want to try to close in 45, depending upon if there's a bank involved and how long that takes. But to the extent there's a bank involved and the bank needs more time to finish the documents, to finish the underwriting, to get the internal approvals at the bank, then if there's a delay by 2 weeks, the parties understand that they're going to extend that out, because that's at no fault of either side. Where the bank is saying, I need more time, then we all agree that we're going to wait for that additional time that the bank needs. Now here, the terms of...
Let me circle back on the closing, Manny.
Sure.
So it's not uncommon for asset deals, those without inventory, without, really deep and long due diligence cycles, to close quicker than 60 days. Don't look at this and say, okay, it's got to be 60 days. The number one deal killer after an LOI is momentum. I have seen a number of deals break and fall apart because there's a loss of momentum. That's actually one of my biggest challenges. One of my biggest job duties as a broker is keeping the momentum in the deal, making sure that anything that a buyer needs in due diligence is being responded to by the seller. Driving through that process. I'm a project manager, essentially making sure every week that we're moving the sticks, we're moving the ball down the field, that we're getting to some resolution, preferably closing. But if not, then we break the deal apart and we go back to market. And that's a key component. So I wanted to pipe in about that. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications about new videos and interviews. And introduce yourself in the comments. Are you a buyer or a seller?